But, you know, the top story really all morning has been Indonesia. We'd like to take you live. Pictures now.
Yeah, this is what we have at the moment, being sworn in as the 7th president. Joko Widodo there, otherwise known as Jokowi, doing that in front of the Indonesian people and indeed various dignitaries as well from around the world. Tony Abbott's there, John Kerry and Najib Razak too. He's got it all to do, though. He's got a creaking infrastructure to deal with, a slowing growth problem, a creaking healthcare system. I can also say creaking other things as well. But anyway, that's the challenge, isn't it?
That's the GDP challenge. The creaking GDP there, is it enough to create the kind of jobs for 15 million Indonesians that join the workforce every year? Those are the challenges.
Yeah, I think this guy has a very tough job, and the economy boomed in the previous 10 years because they had a booming trade with China. Now China is in an adjustment period, so I think Indonesia is in for a very tough period. And Indonesia needs to build infrastructure, and they haven't been able to do that. So it hasn't done a good job on competitiveness issue. So I hope that this guy can deal with it.
Well, of course, that's that is something happening right now, and Indonesia has had a real problem with its infrastructure. It's certainly not a problem that China has, is it?
Yeah, China has overcapacity.
Yeah.
China has oversupply.
So that's also made it into a supertanker rather than a sort of nimble fishing vessel.
Yeah, China is basically now has oversupply of everything, right? So the economic adjustment is really due to that. You cannot build more. That's China.
But they have been making more. They keep on building more.
Yeah, this is basically the Communist Party couldn't change it. It's basically a lot of these cadres have been doing the same thing for like 20 years. It's been working for them. Why not? The exports are still doing okay. All these empty buildings maybe one day will be occupied. So that's what a lot of people thinking. I think my view is the story is different. China is maturing, and you cannot increase capacity like before anymore. So it's much better to go outside to have a strategy of dealing with India and Indonesia. Both countries have big populations and a shortage of infrastructure. Maybe China can put its overcapacity to use.
But, go ahead. But China, of course, the economy cooling there. They're injecting periodic liquidity. They're trying to target it, easy and carry out those measures. What's your take on that?
Well, that's just to keep it from falling off, right? So this is really not a reform or boosting the economy, just to make it stable. And a lot of developers have no liquidity, so they should be bust. But,
do you agree with those temporary measures, though?
I think that
agree with a more broad-based stimulus?
Short-term stability is important. It's much more important to boost the economy for the long haul. So the right policy is to cut taxes, because you have overcapacity. You need to get people to spend more money. So the right thing to do is to cut taxes. Then you need to reform in a way that China cannot invest like 50% of GDP. China should be investing 30% of GDP, and it should be done within 5 years. I do not see a plan yet.
I want to bring it back, if I can, to Hong Kong. Just one question for you. Look at your research. These small businesses, medium-sized businesses, who are paying extortionate rents.
Yeah.
Should there be a law in Hong Kong that landlords can only raise rent? For example, I read a story the other day that there's a pub in Happy Valley.
The Chapel.
The Chapel. They're going for 22 years, and they raise rents by 50%.
Yeah.
So the Indian owner said, I can't manage this.
Yeah, I think in Hong Kong, everybody works for landlord. That's
retailers, jewelry, yeah, they do. Yeah, therefore, there's no law, though, is there, to stop it?
Yeah, I think because these business people pretty much control the government, so I think that it's far-fetched to say they'll pass a law to rein themselves in.
It's the tyranny of the tycoons, you were saying here.
Yeah, I think that basically the Beijing, after the handover, had the wrong strategy of giving kind of trusting these rich people, hoping they're rich people kind of want stability, right? But unfortunately, they do not know.
They certainly get stability. There is stability.
It's temporary because they do not understand the long-term stability. You don't see in Singapore the ruling clique do something like that to destabilize the system in the long term. But they are sure nearsighted. They maximize profits for the short term.
Well, other than the obvious, which is universal suffrage, what else is China so afraid of if they have somebody in place that they are not in control of, but whom provides stability for Hong Kong?
All these protests want to cut Beijing off from the political process in Hong Kong. It's not possible. I think that unless you want to overthrow the Communist Party, maybe it's possible. Maybe in 100 years, but sitting on the street here is not going to do it.
Beijing seems to not be listening to Hong Kong protesters at all right now, not compromising. Is it because Hong Kong's significance to China is decreasing by the minute?
Yeah, Hong Kong is not a major asset anymore, and I think that China has a capital surplus, and so Hong Kong is not that important anymore. But the key is that for China is obsessed with the national unity, and the central government always has the final say over everything. So the freedom you have is because of the Beijing says you have the freedom, and also Beijing has the option to take it back any time. That's how the system works in China. If you do not, if you want to overthrow the system, you're trying to overthrow Beijing.
Let's get back to the business idea, because Golden Week was missed, 3 to 4 weeks of protest now. So those who can't pay their rent will have to close down the business.
Yeah.
The fallout could be really huge. I mean, I believe 92% of business in Hong Kong is SME business.
Yeah.
And they employ Indonesians, Filipinos who rely on the commission sent back home. So there's a huge ripple effect out of this.
Yeah,
and nothing is being done.
Yeah,
There's no leadership. There's no plan B to help businesses, to help those helpers who have to send the money home.
Yeah, Hong
So
Kong
this is really bad.
Hong Kong government is very weak. It's always been weak because the business people have the direct lines to Beijing. So the Hong Kong government is always undercut by these people. So I think that Hong Kong needs to have a political proper system, the government on top. And the business people cannot go over the government.
But that's the anger in the streets. It's the older people who have the businesses losing money, they can't pay their rents, the stress is building.
Yeah.
I can see, and also admire the peaceful protest of the students. But the anger you're seeing is the businessmen.
Yeah, I think that it's going to get worse. Hong Kong is heading for a recession.
Do you think
Recession?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, Hong Kong is going to be down. The economy is going to be in terrible shape for a long time.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Most people have been saying that. They said it would carry on as normal. It wouldn't be the result of this.
I doubt it. I think the retail...
Are you saying triggered by this?
I think the tourist spendings are 17% of GDP in notional value. And you go to any tourist spots, you see not a whole lot of people.